think over the period you 100x your revenue or something like that.
How did you know that?
How did I know that? Oh, I have anyways.
I started Ladder from a place of believing that a lot of the solutions on the market were based on providing access.
What does Ladder do for me as a regular Ghanaian?
So the question really is, how do you know that you don't have enough when you don't even have any visibility of what you do have? We hope to provoke that kind of mindset shift that allows people to make small decisions with their money that overall lead to very big and impactful outcomes.
How have you managed to pull that off?
Pull what off?
Why the name Ladder? Why the name?
Can you guess? Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
It was really something I wanted to build because I felt like it should exist. I never thought of it as a business. If I had known all the things that I knew after I started, I probably would not have done it. There's a certain level of access that you can empower yourself to have when it comes to money, and you don't need to make the most amount. You just need to make enough to get you to the next best step and to go with that incrementally. Like, our goal is to make this the smartest bank you've ever used and hopefully the only one you ever need. I really need to know who's feeding you this information. Like, your research is so deep.
Hello, community. Thanks for tuning in again. It's a great conversation. The conversation about today is a great conversation with Maame Abrema Quarm. Maame is the CEO and co-founder at Ladder Africa. They're essentially a wealth management platform helping people to save and invest and manage their expenses. Great conversation. We touched on her journey from her childhood to going to Ivy League school, coming back to Ghana. And like as our mantra remains, just build something. And I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for coming, number one.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're sorry we stressed you out a little.
No, I'm sorry I stressed you out.
But in your Twitter header, I think it speaks to what in some regard you're trying to do with Ladder. Power to the people's pockets. Yes. What does that mean to you as a person?
So I think for me, fundamentally, it's about empowerment. And I always say that I started Ladder from a place of believing that a lot of the solutions on the market were based on providing access. So it's based on sort of digitizing the existing financial services that we already have on ground. You can save, you can invest. But to me, the real power of technology is being able to enable people to do things that they couldn't do before or that they would have had a hard time figuring out on their own. So from the very beginning, Ladder has always been about providing technology and intelligence as a layer of empowerment. And I think now with the rise of AI, everyone is seeing in real time what that looks like. Mm-hmm. You can literally just ask it anything really to help you have a goal, to help you reach a goal that you have. And that's what we're trying to do with Ladder, is to fill in the gaps that people have when it comes to finances and actually enable them to make decisions that are best for themselves.
Okay. So, assuming it's my first time hearing about Ladder, right? So someone is watching this and they hear, this is the first time they've heard of Ladder. Probably they've seen your commercial somewhere, but then they're not exactly sure what Ladder is about. And here you are, the one who built Ladder, right? What is Ladder about? Because you said you're trying to fill in the gaps with people regards economic empowerment. How exactly are you doing that? What does Ladder do for me as a regular Ghanaian, you know? Hello, friends. A quick pause before we continue the conversation. If you're enjoying this conversation, kindly hit the subscribe button. Also, do well to share this episode with a friend. And if possible, leave a comment in the comment section. This goes a long way to help the team and motivates us to bring you great content every week. Now to the conversation.
So Ladder is an all-in-one personal finance platform where we want users to be able to manage and grow their money all in one place with the help of artificial intelligence. To break this down, how we help users do this is by planning for their financial goals, being able to save, invest, budget, and track their expenses, but all of this under the umbrella of an artificial intelligence that's personalized to them. So there's this idea that once you have all your money in one place, there's now a basis point to have intelligence over who you are as a person financially and help you actually make the next best steps and the next best decisions for you on your finances. And we have, based on this, our Lady AI, who is our in-house AI system.
Is Lady because you a lady or...
Not because I'm a lady, but, Ladder, lady. We wanted to have like a Siri vibe, okay. Where it's like, it's a bit ambiguous. Is it a robot? Is it a lady? But also because women tend to be nurturers and tend to be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. I'm excited about what you're building because I think I heard you say on one interview that Ladder started off with a mission of to accelerate economic empowerment for Africans, right? And I think it's a very big conversation. Over the what we try to achieve with this podcast is to, I mean, the end goal is that people will hear conversations like these, and have a certain mindset shifts regards to economic empowerment. Because we believe there was a wave in the 60s, a political wave, political empowerment, political independence. But as a continent, as a bloc, economically speaking, there's very little to write home about, right? So it's really exciting to hear that, you're building things like these to kind of help us achieve that. Is that a thinking?
I think absolutely. And I love that you talked about a mindset shift because I think for a lot of us, we shift our mindsets not by making drastic changes, but making systemic changes, by making little decisions day by day that inch us closer to the type of people that we want to be. And that's exactly what Ladder is all about. Fundamentally, we build for the type of person that doesn't want to have to figure it out. And that was a very big inspiration for me because I felt that, hey, like right now, if I wanted to get serious with my money, I'm going to download 3 to 4 apps. I'm going to have to set up some kind of spreadsheets. I'm going to need to do a lot of research. There's very few people in the population that fit the bill of that like book long person that's like on Investopedia and is attending conferences and webinars. And so we wanted to build for the type of person that just needs it to be so easy that it's in their face and it's pretty much done for them. And so even part of the principles that we use in our product development is this framework that I mentioned of your next best step, whereby our AI, by analyzing what you're doing on a regular basis or what your goals are versus what you're actually doing, is able to actually suggest to you, not recommend and say, hey, do this, but just suggest to you, hey, you might want to consider doing X, or you might want to make it shift in Y, because when it's upfront and personal in your face, at least you have that reminder. And we say this in-house, like everybody needs a plug. So it's not to necessarily say that, okay, with this app, like all of your problems are going to go away, but more so that we hope to provoke that kind of mindset shift that allows people to make small decisions with their money that overall leads to very big and impactful outcomes.
Yeah, interesting. There's just so far, the things you've touched on are like what one can do when they have the money. When you have the money to make decisions on the money, how do I save my money? What do I hedge my money against? Where do I put my money? What assets can I acquire? But there's also another strand of economic empowerment where people have to get the money. There's a stream. You have to set up a stream, whether it's getting a job or people who have jobs doing other things to bring in money. Are you guys addressing that as well? Is that part of the conversation?
Absolutely. And it's something that we've talked about from this lens of, we believe in holistic financial empowerment. We believe that personal finance is personal. But one interesting thing is when we first started, like before we even had a name, I did a survey and I spoke to about 50 to 60 people on interviews, and then I did an actual quantitative survey with about 500 plus respondents. And the data was very interesting because over 80% of people were saying that they are not investing, they're not saving their money. When you ask why, the overwhelming response is, I don't have enough money to save, I don't have enough money to invest, I don't have enough money to even like do anything really. And then when you go to the question of, you filter by the people that responded to these things in this way, and you go to the question of, okay, are you tracking your finances in any way? Are you managing any type of budget? 90% plus are like, no. So the question really is, how do you know that you don't have enough when you don't even have any visibility of what you do have? Say you're not starting from zero and you do have something, you're making 500 CDs. Where's that 500 CDs going to on a regular basis? Because that data can tell you something about who you are right now. And then again, data as well tells you you want to be here. So then what's the gap between where you want to be and where you are right now? And how do you fill that gap? And so we see Ladder as a bridge between these two data points fundamentally. And it's not just about saying to people, okay, you just need to save, you just need to invest, like find something, anything and do that. But it's more so about saying, your data is telling you a very particular story, and we need to be able to bridge that. Something that we even say in the office is that at a certain point in time, getting another stream of income is financial advice. Like telling someone they need to upskill, they need to consider moving careers, all of that is part of the picture of what your finances look like. And that's something that any reputable financial advisor would tell you based on whatever goals you have. And that's something that if you ask, I'm pretty sure if you ask Lady AI today and you say, hey, this is how much I'm making, I want to save X, Y, Z, one of the things Lady AI is going to tell you is you probably need to see if you can start selling some things, see if you can get another job and things of that nature. So that is something we want to address, not just for the sake of we want people to come and be investing their money on the platform, but from, again, this notion that personal finance fundamentally has to be holistic. And that's why from the very beginning, from the top down with Ladder, we're not just trying to be one type of app, but hopefully we want to, in the long run, touch all the very major touch points that a normal person's finances would touch, so that we can see how to assist them live a holistic life without chasing several different apps and resources and platforms.
Interesting. And so, yeah, I mean, hopefully one day I can come on Ladder and find a job opportunity. You get my point. It's like if Lady AI can advise me on what I can do with my money and tell me, oh, well, if I need to achieve this financial goal, I have to do so and so, then probably there's a vertical somewhere along your product lines that say, okay, well, this opportunity is available, given the credentials you have, you could apply for this role, like something like that.
That's so interesting. And I think that's something that we had talked about earlier on, not necessarily from a platform perspective, but from a community perspective.
Okay.
Last year, we had what we call Ladder Week, which is usually in the 3rd or 4th week of November. And it's just a series of programming that we do for our community. Okay. And one of the particularly successful events was called Surviving Accra. And everyone...
Accra is hot.
And we had such a positive response from that. People asked for different things. And it's something that we've looked at to doing small group community events that are really speaking to what those in our community and our audience and user base need. Career is one of them. Investing is another. Even something like immigration and moving out of Ghana is actually something that a lot of people are interested in. So from a community programming perspective, that's definitely something that we're open to partnering with other people to do, and potentially even having like different sort of platforms that can address that. It's really important to us though that we're not trying to overcrowd the app and say, okay, this is a super app that you can do literally every single thing on. But the idea is really for Ladder to be a gateway to other things that empower one financially. So some of the things we don't even do now, for example, is like insurance and pension. But we do hope that somewhere along our roadmap, we're able to incorporate things like insurance, pension, even credit based on what you're doing on Ladder and what you need.
Okay. 2021, you had graduated from Columbia University, an Ivy League school, international relations and political science.
Yes.
October 2025, here you are, CEO of a wealth management platform, so to speak, of a fintech. Quite the switch. Did you always know you're going to do this, even when you were going for during your undergrad?
Do you know, like, I didn't always know, but looking back, the dots connected in such a linear way that is actually quite staggering. So, for example, one of the things that I did even before I went to uni was Ashesi AIX, Ashesi Innovation Experience. And it's like this 2-week-long summer camp where they promote innovation through entrepreneurship, engineering, robotics, creative arts. That's actually where I met Grace. And I did entrepreneurship, and one of the things that we built was a sort of like college applications app that was meant to help people just streamline the applications between them and their parents. I can't remember what it's called. I think it was called like Unibuddy or something. We actually ended up winning that challenge. I was so happy. And I remember I checked my messages from like 2016 with my mentor at the time. I checked it like last year and I said to them, oh, I want to build apps. I want to build really cool things that help people and solve problems. And I completely forgot about that. And as you probably know, growing up in Africa, it's like you are going to do like law or medicine, maybe like engineering or finance. But I really did not know what I wanted to do. So at first it was like, okay, I might do chemical engineering. Okay, I might do sustainable development. It was very random things. But thankfully, because I went to a liberal arts school, I was really able to curate my curriculum to my interests. Okay. So some of the things that I studied were like human computer interaction, human-centered design thinking and innovation type of courses. And then throughout, actually, from the summer I graduated high school up until I graduated, every single summer, I interned at different startups that were solving problems like this. And I loved the energy. Like, I loved the sort of new age. We're building tech. Everyone is pretty young. No one is over 35. No offense to people over 35.
Decline.
But I just really enjoyed that type of energy and the energy that I even experienced at Ashesi. And that really stuck with me. In summer 2019, I interned at a PR and strategic communications firm in New York, and it was very corporate. It was very stratified, different levels. I was doing work that AI is probably doing now. And I remember just thinking, I need to do something a lot more impactful when I graduate. I can't be in a low impact role. So those are some of the things that informed my thinking. And then I still didn't actually know that this is where I was going to end up. But what happened in March 2021 was that I think it was Flutterwave had raised a Series B or so. They had raised like a ridiculous amount of money. There was a lot of attention on the African fintech ecosystem. Paystack had gotten acquired a few months prior by Stripe. And there were these up-and-coming names like PiggyVest and Invest Bamboo and Bankly. And I was thinking to myself, this is really interesting. And that's when this idea of, okay, but these are all just platforms that are replicating the same things I'm seeing here in America. But really and truly, I felt that there was an opportunity for something more, and the idea for Ladder started coming to me, and it just sort of became a rabbit hole that I went down on, literally from April 2021 up until me being here today. So I think it was a series of events that kept making the path get clearer and clearer in terms of what it was that I wanted to do. And I'm always sort of able to look back at the things that I feel like I'm naturally good at and I have a natural affinity for, and then connect those things into what it is that I want to do now. So with Ladder, the first feeling was that it was going to be sort of like an experimental project. Okay. It was really something I wanted to build because I felt like it should exist. I never thought of it as a business. And over time, I had to start thinking of it as a business. And that was a very rude awakening.
Why? What caused the switch of mindset in that regard? Money to stay afloat?
Yes, because you do need money to run a sustainable business. There's this thing that people say that first-time founders focus on the product and second-time founders focus on distribution and like marketing and growth. And I think I was very much that first-time founder that I just wanted to see it exist, right? And I came up in the 2021 funding cycle. So just that post-COVID funding cycle where there was so much venture capital flowing in, and I managed to get one angel check that helped me start.
You want to talk about how much is that?
It was about $30,000.
Okay.
And that helped me start. And I think in my head, I just felt like, okay, it was so easy to raise that first 30K. So I'm just going to like be cruising on this until I figure it out. And then it was not at all. Like funding just collapsed. Funding just dried up. But then I just really needed to see this thing exist. Yeah. And so it just became a fighting battle of how do I actually, at the time, build a business that is investment ready. And then from that point on, keep bootstrapping so I can keep this thing afloat so that I can get to this thesis that I want to see proven, which even till today, it has not fully manifested, but we are still working on building that, and we're still building up the distribution engine to be able to achieve those goals. The thing about our type of business model, though, is that it's the type of thing that you need to hit a critical mass of scale. So every single thing before you hit that is just like fighting to stay alive, being smart, being tactical about capital allocation to actually stay afloat until you hit that critical mass of scale, whether that is funded or that is by your own like might. Yeah. So I think for me, it was really like it was less about, okay, I'm just trying to build this thing, to more of, okay, like this thing actually now needs to be a sustainable business. And I had to switch my mindset around that, because it's being a sustainable business is what is going to allow it to fully manifest in the way that I have envisioned it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I gathered that you got to a stage where you actually started doing things that don't scale, you know, calling customers, trying to convince them with your marketing associates. I think over the period you 100x your revenue or something like that.
How did you know that?
How did I know that? Oh, I have my ways. So that's fair. Like you've been able to build a sustainable business, but I think on your from your profile on, what's it called?
LinkedIn.
Not LinkedIn. This funding platform. The names are coming. I've seen like a couple of like really good investors on your cap table, and so like you've raised some good funding. You went to in the Techstars program. So first off, I have two questions. Right, it's both tied to like funding in our markets, because founders struggle to raise capital in our market.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's grueling. I've seen people who have like built great businesses, they want to scale, but then just access to funding, and it's more so tied to the fact that they are in the African markets.
Yeah,
right. It's
absolutely.
Yeah, and so you've raised capital. How much have you raised external capital? Just give us a ballpark.
I think externally it's probably north of $200,000. We actually haven't raised that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then how have you managed to pull that off?
Pull what off?
Raising external capital. Because we both agree that, you know, the funding landscape has dried up since 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's picking up a little, you know, it's coming back kind of thing. But
I wouldn't say, not really for very early stage companies, to be fair. Even the goalpost keeps shifting. When I was first coming up, you could I raised my first check with literally a Notion document. I did not have a prototype. I didn't have a slide deck, nothing. And you could raise pre-product, pre-revenue. Right now, people can tell you that, hey, for a pre-seed, I need to be seeing like $50,000 in revenue. Like it's crazy.
yeah.
But I think, so the very first person that gave us the very first check, one of the things she said to me was that generally access to capital in this market is a lot less than in other markets, obviously. And so because of that, those who do have capital here are a lot more, let's call it, conscientious about where and how they allocate that capital, because they have a lot less to just spray and pray. So they're going to have a lot more terms. They're going to have a lot more, you know, a lot higher thresholds for investment. And so that's something that I always came back to, this idea that I needed to just figure it out and do it by myself. And there was always that kind of pressure. And a strategy that I did adopt very early on was realizing I was talking to the wrong people. And this is something that I do say. I think I said that at the event that I met you at, was like, you have to really know who you're talking to. If you're talking to a fund that is very structured, that are going to have like investment committee meetings and several months of review and DD, if you're pre-revenue, that's probably not going to work out well for you. They're going to come back and say you're too early for us. If you're talking to somebody that's like a whale and has invested in companies like yours before, someone that you know, you're going to have a lot shorter of a lead time to a decision, and they're more likely to be a bit less risk averse. Yeah. So for us, we started talking to the kind of people that would be like LPs. It was more so, okay, introduce me to your angel investors, and actually tapping into our own network to see who could connect us to somebody that could potentially give us a check. And we took small checks. Like we took 10K checks here, 15K checks there, 25K checks. I think the biggest check we took before Techstars was probably about 50K. And it was interesting because notoriously the people that give you the least money tend to stress you out the most. So that's also another dynamic that comes
I have a
out
story
of.
to tell.
Yeah, oh, that's a story for another day. But that's another dynamic that also comes out of taking some of these checks. So very early on, I also did become a bit wary of that. For that reason, I've also kept a very small team.
Yeah.
To this day, our team has never been. It has never crossed 20. I think briefly this year it went past 15. But keeping a small team, keeping the burn low, and really allocating capital to the things that matter the most has also helped us at least survive up until this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to zone out of Ladder a little. But first off, why the name Ladder? Why the name?
Can you guess?
Climbing to the top.
Yeah, it was a tool to help you climb, a tool that empowers you to go from one stage to another.
I see.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So
But it's interesting because it's a ladder, it's not like an elevator. Like you do have to do some
the
work.
leg work.
Yeah.
Is that why your logo is like the ladder with like some yellow dot at the top?
Yes.
What's the yellow dot? Gold, pot of gold or?
It's lady.
Oh, lady is a gold dot?
Yes.
I see. In my mind, I was thinking.
But it's also you sort of going up the steps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember I spoke to Kobe Ewa, and he runs Crown Peak Holdings. So similar model, he was telling me, so they have a black base with a gold top, blue base with a gold top, and then the gold is like, when you got to the apex and it's...
Yeah.
So that was the same thinking when I saw your logo. Same thinking I had. But anyway, zoning out of Ladder, we're going to come back to Ladder, the Techstars experience, and what building the team has done, and what the future looks like for Ladder. You mentioned growing up in Africa, right? And how there are certain expectations, and whether you have to become a lawyer or an engineer, And you mentioned that during your high school, you were interning. During high school, we were interning in the summer in like organizations. I'm wondering, which high school did you go to?
I went to Roman Ridge School.
And they allowed you to do internships?
They actually facilitated internships for us. So I got to do different things. That's one of the reasons I knew, for example, that I could never be a doctor. Because one summer I was at a hospital. My best friend, she's actually a doctor now. So I just followed her and it was so traumatic. And then I also interned in a bank. Didn't like it at all. So at Roman Ridge, they were very good about placing us in different places just to get a feel of it. I mean, you're in high school, so it's not necessarily an internship. You're more so doing shadow work, but the exposure is very good for at least narrowing down what you like and what you don't like. So for me, it was always a process of elimination. In fact, actually this summer we took in interns for Roman Ridge as well, because I just thought it would make a lot of sense to expose the kids in school now to technology as a field, especially the way that we do it at Ladder. Yeah.
That speaks a lot to like the kind of dent we have in our education system, because most of us don't have the privilege of going to Roman Ridge is like a upper echelon top tier school, clearly, and so there's some exposure to these things. It helps you make, like you said, by elimination. You tried this, you take it up, but in terms of our kids are going to like and things.
No, but one of the most impactful things I actually did at Roman Ridge was this program by Lancaster University called the Business Cup Challenge.
And then you got to be part of the challenge because of Roman Ridge.
No, so that's the point I was coming to. There were about 200 schools in the Business Cup Challenge, and the top 10 schools, part of the top 10 schools were actually schools that were represented by the local system. So we went against like Wesley Girls, there was Infantsiman, there were other schools from the local Ghanaian system that were also a part of it. I mean, we ended up winning, but I don't think it was exclusively because of Roman Ridge. Funny enough, in our year, we were probably the youngest in the set because I was in Form 5 at the time. But usually they would take the upper 6 students. So those in their final year of high school would be competing. So we were about the youngest in the competition. But I think we had a very good team. And we had a really solid idea. Funny enough, it was also a technology product that we had to conceptualize and work on. And so these are some of the things that I say when I say like the dots connected looking back. It's like doing something like that. At the time, what we came up with is called the holostrap. And I don't know if you ever remember, there was this one Coachella where Tupac performed on stage via like a hologram of him. So I like took that idea and I was like, oh, imagine if you had like a wearable like watch that could do holograms and you could do all this 3D imaging and use it to learn and use it to FaceTime and things like that. So that was the product that ended up winning. And so I guess I say this to say that we competed with 200 people. Majority of the representation was from the local schools. But that being said, I think that there could have been a bit more support, because when I see the output from those other schools, it was very much like, because I did JHS as well, it was very much like that kind of like, I've read this thing and I'm regurgitating it. I'm like just putting it out plainly. There was a lack of a certain like innovation and creativity, which I think was the edge that we got from our side. So I think there is a gap. I think that like students just need to be exposed to more of these opportunities and encouraged, because in our case, we were really, really encouraged to do it and that we could do it. Yeah.
Interesting. And even with the local representation you mentioned, there are a certain class of schools, St. Augustine's College and Infant Pyramid, and so it's not the everyday opportunity for the Ghanaian teenager, So let's go back home. You sound like someone with like a very wild imagination and like want to do things. And so it makes me wonder the kind of upbringing you had, whether you're the type where your parents were bringing you comic books to read and, let's go back home. Do you have siblings?
I do.
How many siblings?
I have 2.
Are you the oldest?
I'm the middle child.
Okay. Your parents are entrepreneurs?
My mom is an entrepreneur.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's a serial entrepreneur.
Okay. You think you got that from her?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up watching my mom always doing stuff. Like, I think even they said when she was pregnant with me, her staff had to beg her to go home. She used to run restaurants on University of Ghana campus called Time Out.
Okay.
It was really like popular among the students. She was selling like all this Chinese food and different continental dishes.
That's how jollof is good, eh?
Yeah, actually.
Only jollof.
Yes.
Okay.
And she was very active. Like, I grew up with a mom that was always just doing things, and she always had this type of energy. My dad was more corporate, so he would be working in marketing for the most part. So he worked with Unilever, Guinness, Accra Brewery Limited, and then later in his career, multimedia. He managed radio stations and then TV. So my dad is the creative, actually. Like, and he was always the one. Funny enough, whenever my mom was saying, "Okay, she's gonna be a doctor. I need someone to take care of me in my old age," my dad would be like, "I think Abrema is more like R&D, innovation, that type of thing." So I think between the two of them, there was always a balance, and I always had an ear that would be like, "Okay, but what do you actually want to do?" Yeah.
Would you say like the core thing, the core value, or the core mindset you've had from your parents is just getting up to do things?
I think there was definitely, the core mindset was not just doing things, but doing things well.
Yeah.
And I've always been pushed to be a bit of a perfectionist, been pushed to a certain level of excellence. There's always that like level of criticism as well when you don't do as well as someone expects you to do. Like, my dad famously said to me, "You're only as good as your last performance," which is like, that's a crazy thing to say to a child, but like there was this expectation of showing up and showing out regardless of whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Now, I'm curious. So you're down at Roman Rate School, you go to an Ivy League school, Columbia University. After all this exposure, you decide to do international relations and political science. What informed that?
So my dad actually trained to be a diplomat because his dad was a diplomat. My granddad was one of the early diplomats in Nkrumah's time. I think because of that, he had a lot of stories that he would tell us. He would give us like all these conspiracy theories about the CIA in Ghana. There was a lot of just interest in history, I would say. Even in high school, like, I famously fought to switch from economics to history at some point because I was just very interested in it. And so when I got to college and I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do, I just was like, okay, let me just do international relations because I felt like that would come naturally to me.
Yeah.
And I could do that and still explore my other interests, which I did a lot of that. Yeah.
How?
At Columbia, I did classes like jazz. I took a semester of jazz. I took a semester of salsa, soca, and reggae. I took a semester of West African history. I studied weapons of mass destruction. Like, there was just so much to do. And I think I'm just naturally a very curious person.
Yeah.
So I think the liberal arts program really encourages you to explore, and more so the core value of that program is that it's teaching you how to think and less of teaching you things. So how to think, how to reason, how to navigate like living in this world. And so that gave me a lot of time to really focus on the things that mattered to me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back to 2020. When did you leave Colombia again?
2021.
Okay, about 2021. Ivy League graduates, international relations and politics, and you decided to come back to Ghana.
Yes.
I know you worked with Mazuma. Was it right after school?
So I actually interned with Mazuma twice. Once in I think it was 2017, right as I was going to university, and then in the COVID summer, so 2020 summer, I interned with them again. Yes.
Okay. So why did you come back?
Because I liked it. I liked the energy. I liked working in a high impact role. I also didn't necessarily want to play the whole H1B visa OPT game, because a lot of people had to do that. It's a lottery. So there's a lot of things that you have to go through to actually stay in the US. And I wanted a more stable environment for myself. But I think part of the reason, for example, I considered going to Ashesi was I was finally exposed to this similar dynamic that I had in Roman Ridge, where it's like we're in Ghana, but there's still a level of creativity, there's still a level of innovation. It's not super traditional. And so there's room for me to explore and be myself while being around people that look like me and talk like me in an environment that's comfortable to me. And so for me, tech in this space was the natural evolution of that, where it's like I'm at home, but I'm working on very innovative things, impactful things, what I believe is the frontiers of the future, but in an environment that matters to me. Because at the end of the day, I could work in a tech company, I could work in consulting somewhere. I don't feel that that work would be as impactful as what I'm doing here. And I think I'm someone that impact is one of the things that matters the most to me in this world. So being able to build something that can impact people and that they can really value really mattered a lot to me. So moving to Ghana was kind of a no-brainer. At the time, I actually got a job with a Nigerian tech startup called Bamboo. So I was a product manager there. So I was able to move to Ghana, work remotely in Nigeria, earn a decent pay, live at home, not have to pay rent. Like everything was actually just, for me, like being fresh out of college, that was the best combination I could have gotten. I would have my friends, my community. So it really was not a difficult decision. I get asked this so many times, but there was never a point where it was a particularly challenging decision for me to make.
Do you feel it's because, for the most part, most people, I mean, I've had friends who went to do undergrad in the US, and you dare not come back home. Because there's no cushion economically. So there's expectation from the people at home on you to pull through there and bring something back home. Would you say that wasn't the dynamic for you, and so that provides some sort of cushion? Because I mean, from what you said, I mean, your mom was an entrepreneur, she's doing her business, your dad is doing things on his own, so they're not exactly dependent on you, so you had room to kind of like explore and come back to Ghana. Would you say that's the case?
That's a good question. Because even though I didn't necessarily get pressure from my mom and dad, I got pressure from my aunts and uncles who lived there and were like, what are you doing? Like, you should stay. Some of them were even encouraging me to like do another degree, get another student visa, just stay. I don't know if it's what they call like entrepreneur's delusion, but I genuinely didn't really think that anything could go wrong. Like I've always been someone that I bet on myself. Like, I believe that once I'm doing something, it's going to work itself out some way, somehow. Yeah. And I always say that if I had known all the things that I knew after I started, I probably would not have done it. But at the time, my parents were very supportive. I was like, okay, I found this role that I think fits for what I want to do. So I want to use this role to learn what the dynamics of the African markets are like. I'm going to work on Ladder as well in that time. And then I'm going to do Ladder full time. And it was just like, okay, yeah, you can come back home. That's fine. So I think that did give me a level of latitude. But I also think a big part of that decision was just this... Well, the part that I haven't mentioned as well was that I had a very strong spiritual conviction. And that's something that I don't necessarily hear people talk about a lot. But for me, it was like there was a point where this decision was actually really stressing me out. And I was like praying. Like that was probably the first time in my life, to be honest, that I've actually like prayed. And I was just kind of like, it was less of a prayer, more of like an ultimatum to God that like, listen, like there's 3 things I can do right now. And you need to actually tell me, like my belief in you hinges on you answering this question right now, like right here. And I think like 45 minutes after I prayed that prayer, I got a call from someone that was here. And that person was working on regulatory frameworks for this market in fintech. Because part of the biggest apprehension I had was like, if I try and do this on a regulatory level, they're just going to kill the business. So that person was like, yeah, I think this is the right time to do this. May not have been possible a couple of years ago, but it's definitely possible now. And that was just like, okay, boom, prayer answered. I'm just going to do this. And even in the time, it was so strange because there were roles that I was recruiting for. There were so many that like, for some reason or the other, I just wouldn't go through that. I ended up not liking the company. There was even one where I did like 8 interviews. They were giving me an offer and they were like, oops, actually, we just got acquired. We have to rescind all offers. And I felt like that was just like my Jonah moment where God was like, I've told you to go and do this thing. And here you are running away. So I'm just going to keep blocking it.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, you know what? This is the conviction that I have. Everything seems set up to do it. What's the worst that could actually happen? And I just took that chance. Yeah.
Interesting. I was going to ask you about spirituality. I was going to ask you, I'm actually going to ask you what Matthew 5:16 means to you.
Matthew 5:16 says to let your light shine so that when others see, they'll glorify your Father in heaven. And I think that that's really just been my whole life. I've tended to be the person that throughout my life, for some reason or the other, I always get given responsibility. I end up, like I said, my parents really impressed on me doing well and being excellent, but it was never something that for me was to my own benefit or to my own glory. I always felt like it was expected of me. And so when I came across Matthew 5:16, I was like, okay, yeah, like this has actually clicked. And it's something that came to me that year when I had 2021 was really my year of spiritual like awakening. And it was something that I feel like God just impressed upon my heart that you're actually doing this for me and not yourself. So if you need a reason to be driven, that's it. Because funny enough, I don't come from a family where we were ever encouraged. I always, I'm upset with my parents. They never gave me a hustler's mindset. They never made me feel like, oh, I should be making money. I should be successful. They never really put any drive in us to be like materially or economically successful. So then it's like, what's actually motivating you when you're comfortable?
Yeah.
When you don't have that hunger that other people have. And I think for me, that's just a reminder that I need to actually let my light shine because it gives glory to the Lord.
So that's how you found the drive?
What do you mean?
Matthew 5:16. I mean, you said, because most times people who are entrepreneurial have a certain hunger, a certain drive.
Yeah.
So is that how you found your drive?
I think that's what anchored it. That's what explained it to me because I could never really understand why I'm like this. Like sometimes I just like, why do I always have to overdo every single thing? Like, for example, right now I'm redoing my bedroom at home and something that started from like a small, I'm just going to get furniture, has turned into a whole architectural project with so many different details. But it's like, I like seeing the finished work. I'm a very creative person. I like that. So I've always wondered, like, what is this thing that keeps me such a perfectionist, that keeps me, like, moving? What's that engine? Because I have it, but I just don't really know where it comes from or why it's there. And I think that really is my anchor. Yeah.
I'm curious as to how your 2 siblings, are they entrepreneur like you or
not at all?
Corporate CCs? Not
at all. They're very different people.
Okay.
Yeah. My younger brother is a creative. Right now he's doing music. Has a background in computer science, but he's just a creative. He loves music. He's rapping, he's singing, he's doing all the things. My older brother is also more of a creative, but more from like a design, UX, marketing perspective. So he works with my mom in their business. Neither of my siblings are the way that I am.
Interesting. Now I'm curious. So you mentioned it looks like a lot happened in 2021.
Lot happened in 2021.
So it looks like you had the idea for Ladder at the time? Because you said you spoke to your
Yes.
parents about coming back
Yes.
to build Ladder.
Yes.
And then from the US, you worked with. Did you do Bamboo first before Mazuma? Or
I worked with Mazuma first before
Mazuma.
Bamboo. Yes.
Okay, so when you were Mazuma, which is also like a fintech,
Yes.
you were thinking about Ladder,
No, I was not.
but then you had already conceived the idea for Ladder.
No. I worked at Mazuma in 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still in school at the time.
I was.
Okay, but what at what point did the idea for Ladder really hit you?
So it was somewhere in, I think it was April 2021,
Okay.
where I was on a bunch of different just tech webinars. Clubhouse was really big, so I used to just jump into Clubhouse
We
rooms.
raised our first check at Adara through Clubhouse.
Yes. So I was just really exposed to it, and I was looking at the different solutions that were on the market, and this idea started coming to me. At the time, actually, I was thinking of it more so as a digital bank. And then when I did all of that, like surveys, interviews, I was trying to get closer to the heart of the problem, which isn't necessarily banking, but it's just how we experience personal finance. So I would say I really nailed on what it was I wanted to do somewhere in June 2021. And then from there, it was just trying to figure out what the initial product should look like.
Okay, and so now you're here in you're doing leading products at Bamboo. Probably a great place to be exposed to how a product is built. What moved the needle to move this idea in your head to something in the real world?
So at the time, I was already working on it. I already had my initial requirements, my initial scope of how I wanted to be, some level of prototyping. So it's in two parts. What validated that this is actually something I need to pursue, and then what ultimately made me commit to doing it full time. What validated it was a problem that I saw, which is that Africans were not buying stocks. Right. Like we had an amazing business development team, amazing communications, amazing marketing, a lot of customer education. But the feedback that we kept getting was people just wanted, let's say, something that they know this is going to give me 12% interest at the end of the year and let me go my way. I don't want to sit here and be picking stocks. Or maybe someone told me that Tesla is a good stock to buy or Facebook is a good stock to buy, so I'm just going to buy it and hold it. But they weren't doing that kind of recurring action that made sense on a commercial level. And so knocking a bit more on that door, you then start to see that the problem isn't necessarily access to investments, but it's the whole mindset and understanding around how to take advantage of these investments. And the problem isn't necessarily even just investing, it's the entire scope of finances in this market as we see it, right? A lot of people see fintech, especially consumer fintech, as a first world African problem, right? Where like you're just making these fancy apps for people that live in like cantonments or Ikoyi that are going to be able to actually participate in like using these platforms, which to some extent is true. Like there's some credence to that idea, but also personal finance is a universal problem. Yeah. And so my take is that we are not actually addressing that universal underlying kink when it comes to what makes like a digital personal financial experience. We are more so just replicating the already inefficient ways that we do personal finance now, which is that you go to your bank here, you're banking with whichever bank, then you go to your assets manager here. Good enough on you if your bank has some kind of investment product, but then you're restricted to the investment product provided by your bank. Then unless you have an accountant, you need to manage your expenses manually somewhere async. Even at the time, one of my biggest frustrations was, I don't know if I can call them out, Fidelity Bank. Like I would be spending money on my Fidelity account and they would just be giving me a string of like characters. I didn't even know that, okay, I spent this money at the Shell shop or I spent this money like at Cupcake Boutique. Like it was just random strings. And I'm like, where is my data? Because I need to know where my money is going. So for me, it is again this idea that technology is not just there to replicate what already exists, but it's really meant to be an enabler. It's meant to fundamentally improve a process. And with technology, you're able to abstract a lot of the things that make these things cumbersome in the first place. Financial institutions have given us a wonderful foundation to where we can aggregate their services and give the user a very smooth experience end to end, and actually then almost maybe even enjoy the process of taking care of their money, because right now it's very cumbersome, it's very burdensome. Nobody even wants to do it.
You made a statement about how when you were at Bamboo, you realized that Africans don't buy stock. And that's true. There's a certain education the average Ghanaian has about how to move money and how money works. If there was a mindset about money you would want the people in the community or Africans to have, what would it be?
If there was a mindset I would want
On money.
I would say like money is for you. I think that a lot of the time talking about money is a bit taboo, or dealing with money is just so stressful that it brings a lot of anxiety. But money is fundamentally a tool for you to be able to have certain outcomes, and it is for you to access, it's for you to cultivate, it's for you to manage, and it's for you to grow. It's there. A lot of the time, as well, when you're coming from a place of scarcity or struggle, it's very hard to see it that way, and it seems like this thing that's forever out of reach. But something that I've learned over time has been that there's a certain level of access that you can empower yourself to have when it comes to money, and you don't need to make the most amount. You just need to make enough to get you to the next best step, and to go from that and to go with that incrementally. So, for example, going back to what I said earlier about a lot of people saying, I just don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to save. I don't have enough money to invest. How do you know this? Are you tracking this? Do you have any visibility whatsoever? It's like, no, right? But if you are earning some kind of an income, at the very least, what is that enabling you to do, and what's the next stage that you need to be at? Because the money is there for you to be able to reach those outcomes. So that mindset shift needs to go from powerlessness to, I would say, maybe just a little bit of hope even. Yeah.
Interesting. Techstars.
Techstars.
I envy you because
Don't.
on my hand, what was it? Was it in 2020? What year was this? 2022. My co-founders and I at Adira, we applied to Techstars New York. We met with KJ Singh, the program's manager. It was great. Had like 2 interviews. We were going forward, and then there was silence for like 2. The period for hearing back. And, well, we got rejected. And we went very far. Like, oh, God, we were so close. And because Techstars is like, after YC, it's Techstars. Everybody wants to get into Techstars. It puts a certain premium on who you are as a founder. I mean, outside the money, which is good. I think $250,000 or $200,000.
I think $120,000.
$120,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we had Lagos Techstars is coming to Nigeria.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you got this far with New York, it'd be easy for us to get into Lagos. And we met with these 2 women. They were managing the program at the time.
Yeah.
It looked good. After the application, there's a next interview you do. We got that. We got in. They're going get back to us. We got rejected again. And so you're part of the first cohort?
No, we actually did Techstars Toronto.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. How did you get into Techstars? And how was your experience?
Techstars was a fever dream. Like, the 3 months of Techstars were probably like the hardest 3 months of my life, or one of the hardest 3 months of my life. It was a very intense program. In terms of how we got in, we actually had someone from the Techstars team reach out to us. And I think it was a fortunate mix of timing as well, because the AI buzz was just very fresh and new, and the fintech buzz was just dying down. And here we were, like an applied AI fintech solution. So I think they were interested in having that sort of representation in their cohorts. So they reached out to us. We had a couple of interviews. This was even at the very end of when they were taking in people. And I think we connected directly to the MD as well.
Yeah.
Later on, we found out that someone that had done Techstars before had actually recommended us to the team, because they thought that the solution was interesting. So, yeah, I don't even remember. I can't say how we did it.
Yeah.
but we sort of ended up there, which is funny because I remember having like a he said back and forth with one of the interviewers in like one of the meetings. I was just sort of like, no, you're wrong. I can't even tell you why, like what the context was now, but I just thought to myself, well, we're not gonna get in, that's fine. Like I don't even care. But we ended up getting in. And then the actual experience of it, so because it was a hybrid at the time, it was a lot of meetings. And in Techstars, there's this thing called Mentor Madness, where it's like, I can't even remember. It's several weeks of just like you're on calls for 5 hours with different like stakeholders, different founders, mentors, investors, people within your space, operators, and we would do like 5 hours of back-to-back calls, 5 to 6 hours of back-to-back calls every single day. And it's like they are ripping into you. At some point, you're just sort of like, why am I even this accelerator? Like if I'm so bad, like why am I even here? They're just ripping into you. And I've heard from some people that the Techstars model is different from YC in the fact that they focus a lot on business development, whereas I guess YC focuses more on like investment readiness and fundraising. Techstars is like a lot of, you need to define your weekly KPIs, and every single week that metric has to be moving. You have to speak to the team on what are your big rocks for the week, what are your little rocks for the week, what are the key like 4 KPIs that you need to track. Did you hit it? What was expected? What did you actually guess? What was the variance? So like green, yellow, red. And then you need to explain in front of everybody why you did or did not hit the metric. Like it was very intense. And I think, you know, going back to what I said earlier about focusing on business development and distribution, Techstars is one of the things that really gave me a big kick up the bum in terms of you need to stop thinking about this product completely and you need to start actually thinking about how you're getting your first however many customers. So I think when we're going into Techstars, I can't remember, it was like 1,000 or 3,000 customers that we had. In the time of being in Techstars, we tripled our customer base. And then in the months following Techstars, we then like quadrupled it. So the things that we learned from there were really helpful for the business. I do think though that in terms of fundraising, it was a bit hard because that was during the funding just slowed down. And then there was a general drought. And then, like, you were also an African company. So that just made it, like, next to impossible to raise in a way that I think YC, even at the time, they kind of, like, people that, once you do YC, like, you're just raising, like, almost guaranteed. But Techstars wasn't like that because they really focused on a lot of the fundamentals of business development and growth, which was also helpful. But I don't think I would do another accelerator again.
So somebody say, yeah, we're too old for that now at this point.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
Let's talk about customers. I remember. So after Techstars, you had how many customers do you have at the time?
I think it was about 3,000.
How many customers do you have now? Downloads.
Right now, downloads probably about 25,000 or something of the sort. Yeah.
And then you have a team of less than 20 people.
Yes, we do.
How do you manage the team?
How do I manage?
Yeah, like how do you manage your team to be able to attend to 20,000 customers? A team of less than 20 people to manage 20,000 customers. How do you keep them going?
How do I keep the team going? I think we have a very interesting culture at Ladder of agency. And I really believe in this high trust, high agency. So everybody that's on the team, you have a certain level of trust that you're going to be able to own what you own end to end. And not to mean that you will figure every single thing out, but more so that you will exhaust every resource needed, even if that resource is me myself. Like there's times where Grace can literally come and just stand on my neck and she can come to me like 5 times. I'll be hiding from her, like go away. But she'll come to me and I have to attend to her to support her to get something done. So every single person, even the interns, like interns come to work with us. And you would even be surprised that this person is an intern because they have a certain level of ownership over whatever it is that's within their scope. And so I think that has empowered our team to also advocate for themselves in terms of whatever resources they need, whether it's an additional person or it's a tool. They're able to have access to those things to be able to do the work that they need to do. And I think also we've been blessed with talented people. I think I've read somewhere that when you're solving a really important problem, people that are very talented would flock to it. So we've been blessed to be able to attract talent that is just great and solid. And I think between my senior management team and myself, we're also able to identify people that would be high performers. So that also helps. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You mentioned something. I wanted to come back to that. Remember when you said when you were, when the answer to your prayer, the call from the friend, 45 minutes after you prayed, talking about the regulatory framework with fintechs in that space. How have you navigated the regulator? Because you guys, people invest through your platform,
Yes.
right? People give you money.
They don't give us money. They give our partners money.
Okay, so you'd
through our
explain that
platform.
for us. Yeah.
Yes.
So people invest in your business.
On the platform.
On the platform, you're basically taking money off. So like you're basically like a conduit for receiving investments. How's the regulatory framework looking like on that front? How's that looking like?
It's interesting.
Okay.
I think that's the best word I can use to describe it. I think at the time, the person probably slightly oversold it, but there's been a lot of headway in the space now. I mean, where 5 to 10 years ago, fintech is like, what's that? At least there's an office of fintech now. The regulator is paying attention to innovations like ours. It has been tough though, because in Ghana, fintech regulation is often just payments regulation. So it's payment systems providers. You think of something like a MasterCard or Flutterwave or Paystack, and that's the kind of license category that they want to put everybody under. Now there's sandboxes that are meant to address that. So if you have an innovative solution that doesn't fall underneath any of these, then you can go under that. So we've had our fair share of battles with the regulator, especially when the marketing team gets a bit overexcited. We go and do something and the thing blows up even more than we expect. The regulator is just going to come knocking at your door. So we had a few challenges earlier this year with that. And we had to really take a pause and look at the infrastructure and how we were running it. So because of that, we even had to transition some of our partners to be more local-based partners, but still partners that can give people access to the types of asset classes that our customers want.
Okay.
Yeah. I think now we are in a better position with the regulators. And I think we've been doing a lot of communication over the last couple of years with them. Yeah. But it hasn't been a smooth ride. But I also think with these things, there's always the sacrificial lamb. There's always that person that has to just go and just take
and be on the altar.
Yeah, you just have to go and do it so that it also opens the door for other people to come in. And we're happy to be at least one of the first people to go through that. Because I think Ladder in itself is one of the very few fintechs that's not necessarily attached to an existing financial institution, but is really new and innovative in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So what does the future look like for Ladder? If you're to, in your mind's eye, if you're to work same time 2027, where do you envision Ladder? Where do you hope it will be? Team front, customer front, product front, those three strands, how does that look like?
Team front, I think our team size is probably going to expand just a little bit, probably just to a third more of what we have right now. Customer front, we're on our route to 1 million users. That's really the big number for us.
Okay.
This year we're looking at doing a pilot in Nigeria, a lot more of a stable regulatory environment. And also I think Nigeria is an interesting market because they already have a saturation of fintech. And so this idea of aggregation being a better option for your experience will really be put to the test, which I'm excited about. So we're doing that, and then hopefully by 2027 we can at least pilot in one more market.
Okay.
But the big goal is being on our road to our first 1 million users. And then what was the team front, customer product front? Oh yes, on a product level, key thing is to prove the baseline product thesis, which is aggregating multiple savings, investment products, budget management products. And then one thing I'm really excited about for the next year or so is digital banking and transaction services. So actually having people be able to spend money through Ladder, because that also helps us get better data to really support our customers. So that's a big thing on our roadmap that I can't wait to see manifest, as well as scaling Lady AI to be. So right now, Lady AI is a prompt-based model. So you say something, it says something back, and then there's some level of smart notifications and alerts. Right now, we want Lady AI to be like a constant monitor, so proactive and reactive. And that's the next stage, where it's like, you don't necessarily need to say something to Lady, but Lady is looking through your data and is saying things to you to prompt you as to decisions you need to be making or things that you need to be aware of. So scaling Lady AI is really important for us for that front for the next, I would say, 12 to 18 months. And then since we're talking about 2027, one key thing as well that we'll be experimenting with is actually solutions for small businesses. It's something that I really care about, because a lot of people within our user base are also people that are entrepreneurial. They want to start businesses or they have side hustles. So we're looking at, what does that financial management toolkit look like, or an intelligent financial management toolkit look like, to support somebody that's managing a business on the side. And that's something I'm interested in. We've also gotten a lot of interest from the financial institutions that we partner with on what our AI looks like for them. So that's something that we're also looking at, is building a software as a service based on Lady AI that other financial institutions can integrate into their own apps. So imagine if some of the apps that you're using on a regular basis have a very smart AI that can actually support you to have better financial outcomes.
Interesting. It's good you mentioned Lady and the banks. I heard your infrastructure with Lady is like it's hinting like multi APIs,
I really need to know who's feeding you this information. Like, your research is so deep.
multi
agents,
like an aggregation of multi agents. So as in what whichever one's high point is, it kicks in.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. But the question with the banks is, do you think you're going to become in? Because I've heard you mention somewhere or tweeted somewhere about a new bank. Do you think you're trying to build a bank like Revolut? You're trying to build like a new bank. Is that what you're trying to do?
I do think that at scale Ladder looks like a Revolut. Sometimes I resist the term bank. I don't know what it is, but I think that in practice, yes, like, our goal is to make this the smartest bank you've ever used, and hopefully the only one you ever need.
Okay, great.
Well, since you asked though about what's next as well for Ladder in the immediate term, we're running a campaign now called the Track Every City campaign.
Okay.
Last year, we built out the spending feature, which helps people track all the money that they're spending. We actually have a feature that's in beta that allows you to link your bank accounts and track how much money is going in and out. I think it's bank accounts and one mobile money. I think it's Airtel Tigo. So the Track Every City campaign is just encouraging our users to track all the money they spend, whether automatically or manually. And it's around this thing we said earlier on about a mindset shift and helping people actually be aware of their financial data and make better decisions based on it. So that's something we've been running through October and we'll be running into November.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I see. I want to ask a question. It's like, okay, away from Ladder a little, to you as a person, what do you do when you're not making good jollof, which I'm yet to taste, and being an interior decorator in your home? What do you do?
What do I do? I love music. Like, I'm a huge music fan.
Your brother must be top of your Spotify list.
Sorry?
Otherwise. Your brother. You must be on top of your Spotify.
No, he's not. That's all.
If you're watching, your sister doesn't like your music.
Oh, I like his music. It's just, I mean. No, but yeah, I'm a huge music fan. Always looking for like new things to listen to. There's so many like new projects that I have queued up that I just need to have time to listen to. But I'm a big fan of music. I used to write a lot. I don't write as much anymore. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Just listening to music, reading. I'm really I've been reading since I was 3. So big reader.
You still read history?
No, not as much. I love fiction.
Oh.
I love fiction a lot. And then lately I've been reading all these more boring books about banking and industry. Yes.
Book recommendations for fiction?
For fiction, The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King is such a great book, one of my favorites. One of my favorite books of all time is called The Book Thief as well by Marcus Zusak. It's an incredible writing.
Have you tried The Brothers Karamazov?
I have not.
By Fyodor Dostoevsky. You should try it.
Dostoevsky, I read him in college. It was painful.
Oh, why?
We read Crime and Punishment. It was Russian literature is very sad.
And very
existential.
It's like a blend of like philosophy and theology and psychology. I have this theory that after you read Dostoevsky, every other form of literature sort of pales. Like it doesn't feel the same anymore. Because it's so
intense. Yes. I believe in even with everything I consume, music, movies, media, I believe in happy things. The world is too sad. So when I'm free, I don't want to be sad.
Are there people who watch The Office multiple times?
No, I don't watch The Office. Okay. Abbott Elementary is good though.
Abbott Elementary, I've not seen that yet.
It's hilarious. It's a riot. You should. I'm jealous of you actually because you have 3 seasons to watch. Yeah. Okay. You should watch it.
I'll give you some shots. But thank you for what you're building. I'm excited about what you're doing with Ladder, more so with the underlying mission that you're trying to empower our people economically. Keep doing it, and more so with women, because on the podcast, if you look at our catalog, there are just a few women represented on there, and it's not because lack of efforts, not because you're not reaching out to the women. We're actually reaching out to women, but there are not a lot of them out there. Just a few, and so it's encouraging to know women who are in an entrepreneurial space and moving the needle here and there and then pushing the frontier. So I hope there's an encouragement to women out there. And if you have a word for the girls, about starting out.
Oh, thank you very much for your kind words, and thank you for having me. I think I may have some women that I can recommend off air for you to reach out to that are building really amazing things.
Great.
Shout out to Valerie from I can't remember the name. They do e-bikes. Really impressive company. And then Misha as well from Just Stream Africa. But yeah, I'll give you a couple of recs. I do want to see more women on your podcast.
Yes. Thanks. You will do that. Dick, have you heard?
But I don't really have anything to say to young girls out there. I mean, I think just bet on yourself.
Just do
That's
things.
The only thing. Yeah, just do things. You can't just get up and do anything you want, actually.
Yeah. Because I think I'm also in a phase where I was telling my friends that I'm in a phase where just get up and do things.
Yeah.
Because there's thank you. I forgot that. On this interview with, I've forgotten this guy's name. You kept mentioning, even on it, you kept mentioning, you don't mention God. You mentioned the divine and the divine. You never say God. I don't know if you realize that.
Really?
Yeah.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, interesting.
So I was wondering, is she this girl a Christian or she's spiritual?
I am Christian.
You're Christian. Yeah. Okay. Until I saw Matthew 5:17 on your bio. Okay. So friends in Accra, the world beyond, just build something. So Idua.